optics is a pretty relatable word in any industry that you're in. And being a cinematographer on set is no exception. As technology progresses, the size of our equipment gets smaller, even though the capabilities get better. But the problem with that is that when you show up on set with a client there, they'll see you walk in with this tiny little DSLR looking camera, and your client might think to themselves, oh, my nephew has a camera like that. I could have just hired him, and probably for way less. It's just funny because this is also one of the reasons why I purchased my Canon C200 as my A-cam. I love this camera, the capabilities are amazing, but it also looks really good on set. When you show up with a camera like this on set, a client would see it and be like, oh yeah, okay, he knows what he's doing, right? It's just like such a subconscious thing. You see these videos online now, like these meme videos of all these videographers building up their smaller rig cameras just to make it look bigger, but not really doing anything to it.
I want to make the best video possible. Sounds good. I can do it for about $2,000. That's a bit expensive. You sure your little camera won't overheat there? Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. I want to make the best video possible. All right, I can do it for $10,000. You're hired.
It's just funny how this thinking works, right? But the reason why I'm making this video is because I think the word optics and video production goes a lot deeper than just the size of our equipment. It really touches on every aspect and every process that goes into creating a video project. So here are some things that I keep in mind when it comes to optics on set. The first thing is dress to impress. Now, I mean, don't go overboard with this. If the occasion doesn't ask for it, don't just show up on set with like a suit and tie and make it look like you're doing too much. But also just don't show up as a slob, and that the way that you dress and look will be perceived by the rest of your crew and client, and on a subconscious level could kind of make or break how they perceive you. Okay, for tip number 2, no swearing. I mean, for obvious reasons. Tip number 3, side meetings. This is a big one for me. When you're on set, especially at a high level, director, DOP, cam op, producer, there's gonna be times where you feel like you're stepping on each other's toes with certain creative ideas or creative responsibilities. And it's important to keep in mind the setting that you're in while those discussions are happening, and that if client is over off to the side and if they're listening in on it, how that conversation could be perceived as, again, professional or amateur. So when you feel like that type of conversation is maybe heating up, take a side meeting. Make sure that you kind of walk away into a private area where client cannot see or hear you so that you can come up with that solution. Okay, tip number 4 is what I like to call the action protocol. So on every set that I'm especially directing, I will have a talk with my crew about how I want to approach once we press that record button and once I call action and everything in between it. So for me, on the more bare bones level of it, I will call roll camera, and then I'll have a camera assistant walk in with the slate. I will say, mark it. They'll say, mark, clap the slate. They'll walk out. I'll ask my camera operator for a frame call so that he can reframe up after the slate. And after my camera operator says frame, then I call action. Slate in from the mark of the green. It's gonna roll.
Okay, camera speed.
Rolling. Mark it. Frame. Action. You want to have that process work like a well-oiled machine because, again, subconsciously, when a client sees that over and over and over again and that we have really good consistency with that protocol, that is just such a good look on the crew, and that shows that you really know what you're doing. And my last tip is to go watch my set etiquette video because, again, a lot of that video always falls back on that concept of optics. All those little in-between moments on set and the things that you can be doing and the actions that you can be taking so that when a client sees it, they will see it in a good light. So thank you for taking the time of watching this video. And remember that when there's a client on set, that there's a client on set. And and that the actions that you take will be perceived, whether good or bad. So just make sure you take that time in your decision making to make sure that you look good optically.